Alright guys, we never finished the series about the 20 G's hydraulic lift pump situation. And I'm going through here, I got a bunch of videos I actually took at the end of July, beginning of August. And I just never had time to get to them. And honestly, I haven't touched the project since then either, just been sitting. So the first part of this video here, we're going to go and take some parts out of the 8163B parts tractor that we're going to need to put into the 20 G's transmission. So you'll see me taking the parts out of that thing, and we have a little goof up, and hope you enjoy.
To my shock, there's actually hydraulic fluid in here. There was already some in this drain pan before I started from working on a 20 G, so it's not all from this tractor. But one tip here, when you take off these hydraulic lines, put a wrench on the big part here to support it, because on another tractor, on my other 8163B, I took them off. I ended up bending the fittings back here. I had to replace one of the fittings because it developed a leak when it bent. So just use a wrench and hold these things down, so when you're pulling up against it, you can pull down on this one and not bend where they attach into the pump itself. So I'm just going to let this drain for a while. While it's draining, I'll disconnect the hydraulic pump here and we'll pull that out. And then we'll put the wheel back on and button up this side. I loosened up both of the bolts that hold the engine on. So that'll be our next thing, is to pull the engine off the back. I also want to take off this little rod here and save that as well. Right, I got the pump out and it really doesn't look that bad. I was afraid that the inside here would be all covered with red ATF, but there wasn't any ATF, so I think that meant that the seal's good. If I ever was going to use this pump again, I would probably replace the seal before I use it, just for good measure. But we'll take it off, and you know, we have that issue with the 20 G, with the hydraulics not working. Worst case, we can use some of this stuff on the 20 G if need be. But that's about it. All right, so I took the engine off this junk 8163B, and we're going to take the side PTO pump shaft out, and there is a snap ring around there that we got to take out first. I have these channel lock snap ring pliers, and I broke a lot of the tips, so I just bought this brand new set of tips here called 927T is the part number. I got on Amazon. It wasn't too bad. It was under $10. So I'm going to swap out the tips, and if we're lucky, there'll be a right angle tip that can get that. Otherwise, we're going to have to jack this up and take off the back tire. But once I take that snap ring off, I can literally pull that shaft out and fish it right out of the back of the transmission here with no issues. Right, so I was able to get the snap ring off without taking the tire off. And now I should be able to push that shaft straight through and grab it out the back. Because I got flat tires here, I'm having a little issue with the oil level here. But you can grab this shaft and you can push it in, no issue. So what I'm going to try to do is grab it inside here and pull it out. It's submerged in the oil right now, so it's going to be a dirty job. So I'll be right back. All right, I'll bring you with me here if I can. Let's see. All right, I can feel the gear. Is it hitting something? Let's see. Yep, it's hitting another gear inside the transmission. That was an unexpected result. Not cool. A little update here. The shaft slides into the gear. So I was able to push the shaft this way and unhook it from the gear, but I dropped the shaft in the transmission and I have no idea where it is. It went all the way to the bottom somehow, and I'm looking in there with this flashlight trying to see if I can see anything, and I can't see anything. Maybe I got to try to drain some of this oil out of the transmission and see if I can fish around in there. I tried taking a magnetic telescope pickup tool in there. I can't find it. So I have a bad feeling that this job may turn into learning how to split a transmission to fish out that stupid shaft. That was a really big fail on my behalf. All right, so I took out this old little Harbor Freight fluid transfer pump that I have. I put it down in the oil and started pumping this thing, and figured I'd just suck the oil out of the transmission this way. It's a lot easier than jacking up this tractor and finding the drain plug and all that stuff. I'm just hoping that if I can get some oil out of this thing, that I can find the piece that I dropped in there and not have to be like fishing around through oil. Maybe I can use the lens on my camera to look in there. If I can't use my phone's camera, I have somewhere like a digital inspection camera that you can put in a hole, and I'll try that and see if I can look in there and find it, and maybe we can fish it out and not have to take this whole transmission apart in order to get it. That would be a lot nicer. It's working. I took one of these containers out so far. It's probably 2+ quarts. I think these things hold 5 quarts. So we'll work on it some more here. All right, so I got all the oil out of there. And again, I don't know that I can see it here, but you see on the left, that's where the shaft came in. And then I pushed it straight out this way. So you would think it couldn't have went that far, right? I mean, that's the differential. And it's got to be that it went down and went under the differential. I don't know where else it would be. Let's see. Can't really get a good view inside of there. But it's got to have just... I'm thinking it went out like this and went down like this and went under the differential, and it's probably like flat in the bottom of the case, which is really tough. And trying to use this thing to fish it out, but this thing's a little too big, but it is about the size of that shaft, so I don't know. Keep trying. I got this crazy here inspection camera, connects to the phone with Bluetooth, and got an Amazon. It's called Depths Tech. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it wasn't a lot of money. It was like 30 bucks, and I've used it a couple times. It has like a 30-foot rigid wire that it's on. I was trying to put it in ductwork in my house to see if, trying to diagnose a problem with my HVAC system, and I've never used it other than that one time. So I'm going to try to put this in the transmission and see if we can find out where that stupid shaft is. And I'm kind of hoping that the 20G shaft isn't knocked out either. So this might turn into a double whammy here. Let's see. Well, using this scope is not very easy. It's very hard to get it orientated correctly, but the app records it on the screen while you're doing it, and you can see what you're doing, but I kind of have the video here like 90% off or 90 degrees off. But you can see these gears in here, and it's looking straight down to the bottom of the transmission here. And there's a lot of rust on these things. I don't know when the last time this tractor was ever run in real life. I mean, it could be that it's been 20 years since it ran. A lot of moisture's in there, I think. But, you know, it's very hard to maneuver the camera. But I just didn't have any luck seeing anything in here. I tried to drain the oil out as much as possible so that there was basically no oil. That's really the differential that you're looking at there. And unfortunately, it just, wherever that stub shaft fell to, it hit itself pretty good. But this camera's kind of cool. You can see pretty much everything in the transmission with it. And this transmission's actually in really good shape. All these gears are pretty much brand new looking, but you know, in the back there's a little bit of surface rust on the top where they're not completely submerged in the oil normally.
Well, that proved to be useless. I couldn't see it in there anywhere. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe what I should do is jack up the tractor, or at least inflate the tires if I can. Maybe pull the drain plug out of the bottom of the transmission. See if I can feel anything through the drain plug area. But you know, the shaft is probably like a 1/2 inch diameter shaft, so that won't fit through the drain plug. So even if I find it there, I can't pull it out through the drain plug. So I don't know. Let's see.